Hey everybody, this is Tori Earle, Extension Specialist for 4-H Youth Development with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. Today we're going to be doing an experiment from the National 4-H STEMLab called Wonderful Wetlands. This experiment is designed to show you what a wetland is made up of, to talk to you a little bit about why wetlands are important, and to show you how they filter out our water to make it cleaner. You can go to the National 4-H STEMLab and download the curriculum or the activity guide for this, or you can follow along on the website itself. Now, this experiment you're going to need several things for. We're going to go through each one of those. You're going to need a paint tray. You're going to need a paint tray liner, some modeling clay, a measuring cup, some aquarium gravel, some activated charcoal, some Italian dressing, some vent filters for a furnace, and you'll need a 2-cup liquid measuring cup as well. All of this is listed on the activity guide itself, but you can find these things either at a hardware store or at a pet store or at your local department store. Now, to show you how to do this, we're going to take some time, walk through it, and it shouldn't take, the activity itself will probably take you 45 minutes or so. Don't worry about it, this video is not going to be that long, but we'll go through the different things that you have to do to make this work. So, let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is take your paint tray, and you can do it without the paint tray liner, but the liner actually makes it a little easier to clean up. You take your paint tray, place the liner in it, just turn it around this way so it'll be a little more even, and this is going to act as your wetland slope to let water flow through. This is going to be your reservoir for collecting the water from the wetland. Now, you'll take the modeling clay and you'll actually form a little levee at the bottom of your paint tray to let the water collect. Now today I'm actually using Play-Doh instead of modeling clay because it was a little quicker to work with today. We're going to see how it works, and it might be a possibility that you could also use Play-Doh if you don't have access to modeling clay. But what I'm doing is I'm just kind of forming it into a flat wall. We'll form it out here, and then I'm going to put this all the way across my paint tray, forming like a small dam that would hold our wetland construction back, but also let water flow over the top of it. So as we do this, we just press it down, press it against the sides so it seals really well. And there we have our first stage of building our wetland. Then the next thing you're going to do to simulate the carbon in the earth, you are going to get some activated charcoal. I've pre-measured it here. We measured out 2 tablespoons of the activated charcoal, and what we're going to do is we're just going to sprinkle it into our paint tray, kind of up and back, making sure to get it kind of all distributed around. There we go. And this represents the carbon that is in the earth. The carbon in the earth is made up of naturally decaying materials that supply that carbon that we need. All right. The next thing we're going to put down is some simulated grass or vegetation, and you can actually go out and collect grass and vegetation for this if you want to use that for your experiment. But try to collect some naturally occurring materials if you want to too, just to see if it changes it up any. But we're going to use these furnace filters, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them to the width of my paint tray, just like this. I'll actually open up a few more here. And when you're doing this, again, this will simulate the vegetation on the Earth's surface. Cut this one to the same width as our paint tray and put that over the top of the carbon. Then our next step is going to be to simulate the rocks and coarse soil, coarse ground, things like that that would be on the Earth's surface. And to do that, we're using 1 cup of aquarium gravel. We pre-measured it out, and then you're just going to sprinkle it over the top of what would be your vegetation. Getting it all smoothed out just like this. Spread it evenly over the top. Now you may be thinking, well, isn't grass and vegetation on top of the soil? It is, but we can also simulate the decaying vegetation and naturally occurring materials that would be on top of the carbon layer in our soil with these furnace filters. If you wanted to try it and get some actual vegetation and put over the top, that would be a way you could modify the experiment to see if it was any different, or if you got any different results. All right, now to see what the wetland actually does and how it helps filter out the water that goes into our streams and lakes and ponds, rivers, things like that, we're going to take 2 cups of clean water. Now these 2 cups of clean water, 2 cup measuring cup, you can do that, but how are we going to simulate the pollutants in that water? Well, we're going to take our Italian dressing, and we are going to put 2 tablespoons of this Italian dressing into our water. Move the water so you don't spill your Italian dressing all over the place. There's 1 tablespoon, and you can see it's looking kind of murky now. And our 2nd tablespoon, and we'll stir that up really good to simulate dirt, pollutants, oil, different things like that in the water. Now, to see how the watershed, our wonderful wetland, actually works, we're going to take this and we're going to carefully start pouring it into our wetland. We're going to let it trickle down, and as you can see, it's starting to fill up, starting to collect at the bottom, all those pollutants. And in the water that's coming out, it's a bit cleaner than the water that went in. Now you can still see some of the oil sheen on it, and you can still see some of the other things. That could be where you could try different things with this experiment and see how well other materials help filter it out. Wetlands are a very important part of our ecosystem. They do help filter out pollutants. As you can see, a lot of the solid matter, solid pollutants got collected up here. That's the spices in the Italian dressing, and as it flows down there, like I said, there's still a slight bit of oil sheen on the top, but a lot of the oil is collecting in the wetland itself. Now you may ask, well, what does that do to the wetland? It does pollute it a little bit, but it does also have a tendency of wetlands kind of can heal themselves if they don't have a great deal of pollutants in them. So as you're doing this experiment, again, try different things. Try natural materials, rocks, river rocks, things like that you could get, some things that you could collect outside. As you do this experiment, some questions you may want to ask yourself as you go along. How do wetlands play an important role in keeping our community and environment healthy? What did you observe about the water as it passed through the wetland? Did it go through more easily in some areas than others, and why? What pollution was easiest for the wetland to filter out? What was the most difficult? And what kinds of things do you think might enter into our waterways like this? What do you think might happen if too many pollutants got into the wetland? And as you did your experiment, were you able to collect 2 full cups of water at the end? Why or why not? According to the National Fish and Wildlife Service, there are about 107 million acres of wetlands in the lower 48 states, with another 170 to 200 million acres of wetlands in Alaska, and about 52,000 acres of wetlands in Hawaii. So wetlands are all over the place, and they do play a very important role in helping keep our environment and our communities healthy with clean drinking water, and they also provide a great habitat for wildlife to live in. So as you do this experiment, try different things, see what different materials have different effects on wetlands, and do some study on wetlands, because there's a lot of career opportunities dealing with wetlands too. There are wetland scientists, there are wetland delineators, and all these terms are in the activity guide that you can download. And you can also look at environmental engineering. It's another career path that you could work with wetlands as well. So I hope you've enjoyed doing the Wonderful Wetlands experiment today, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to visit the University of Kentucky College of Agriculture website, and we will try to help you out. Thank you very much, and have a good day.